Hello, stream. Hi, Ria. Yep. 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 Of course, tag anyone you want. Go, go for it. Oh boy. It does make me look younger. Also, looking at my own face, I feel like all of a sudden just my entire face has shrunk. Like suddenly I don't have a chin. Whereas, of course, I have the exact same chin that I had for about 25 years before I grew my beard. Um, but it's been a long time since I've seen that guy. So, hello, Mythor. Hey, Nicole. Yes, let's get this out of the way. Oh, boy. Hi, Clooney man. Yes, yes, it's true. Um, for anyone who does care about an explanation, I I've been spending a lot of time with Megan recently, looking at pictures. Most of what I took, most of my dad's stuff that I collected was a lot of pictures. And there's a lot of pictures from when we first got married and from when I was even younger than that. And we were looking at the pictures, and Megan was sort of like, "Boy, I forgot what you looked like without your beard." And I was like, "Yeah, me too." And she was like, "I think you looked kind of good." I was like, "Really?" She's like, "Yeah." So I spent some more time looking at the pictures, and I was sort of like, I do look kind of good in these pictures. So this morning I just up and acted. Honestly, I think I look younger than 29. But yeah. Honestly, the one thing that I have attention on is I have a little bit more meat on my body than I did when I last didn't have a beard. And so I can't stop staring at my chin, and not like my chin and the lack of beard there, but like little little pockets of little pockets of meat right here. So now I have a tremendous urge to start working out and never stop until I'm, 0% body fat. That is funny. I think I look significantly younger than 29. Like, remember, I have YouTube videos from 2 years ago when I was actually 29, and I think that I look much younger than I do in those videos. I need to I'm gonna get my hair cut shorter too. Just go for the look that I had in my early to mid 20s. I'm terribly sorry, Alex. Sorry to have disappointed you. How am I feeling? Um, I kind of like it. It's a shock. It's like it's super weird, but I'm getting more and more used to it, and I am starting to like remember this face. You know what I mean? I mean, this is what I looked like the vast majority of my life. So it's just taking me a little time to get it back. Not with the glasses though. This is without the glasses. This is the full young Garrett effect. And then with the glasses. Ay. Well, the mouth is normally framed, right? It's got what do you call it? Accent, right? Like it's a little. I can't really represent it with my hands. But it's this little. Normally, it's this little circle of pale skin in the middle of dark hair, and so it appears larger. Like, you know how eyes appear larger when they have eyeliner? That's because they're outlined very specifically. And so the mouth is normally outlined, so it looks a lot bigger than it is. I look more like Sanderson now. That's it. I'm growing the beard back. Oh, Jesus. You're kind of right. Ah. Well, that's all right. No, I think I'm going to cut it shorter. I texted Megan a picture. She hasn't answered yet. Yeah, basically I fill it out until I feel it's complete. Each save the cat beat, you know? It's up to me. Some get very detailed, some get a lot less detailed. It just depends on when I feel like it's good, like okay, I understand this beat, I understand how it's reacting, how it's interacting with the rest of the story. Because it's pretty easy to just go, oh, you know, I did what it said, you know, like I did what the beat said. And that's, I think, the problem with a lot of procedural outlining, writing, story advice is people go, well, I did what he said, you know, or she said, and it didn't work. And it's like, okay, but if you're just doing like the bare minimum of like do what the words say, but you're not actually, the point isn't to follow the instructions. The point is to use the instructions as a tool. Right? So you can't just, oh, well, I just fill in the blanks. You use the blanks as a tool to construct your story. And so if you just fill in the blank with something random, I mean, just as like a stupid over-the-top example, but like you have the midpoint and it's supposed to be like the false defeat, right? And so you just go, well, and then his mom dies. You know, like the villain kills his mom. When his mom just hasn't been in the story at all. It's like, well, I put in a midpoint, I put in a false defeat, but like, does that actually work with your story? Does that actually do anything for your narrative and for the theme, for your character development, etc., etc.? It's I ride the line on Magic in between vague and detailed system. There is a system, but I have a love-hate relationship with Brandon Sanderson's Magic systems. I think they're so awesome and so well thought out. But then also sometimes I feel like they take themselves too seriously, or he takes it too seriously, or the story takes it too seriously. Because at some point, if there's magic in your story, how it works always boils down in the core essence, it always boils down to it's fucking magic. Like you can't explain magic. You just can't. By its nature, by its definition. So I avoid trying to achieve, no, this could really work, because it can't. Just, I mean, that's just period. It can't. So, Tolkien was literally like, it's magic. It does whatever I want, whenever I want, and I'm not going to explain it at all. And Sanderson is like, there's this whole like complex system and interactions and everything like that. I mean, obviously, worth mentioning in the discussion is the golden rule of magic and magic systems and everything is that you can do whatever you want, but it has to be consistent. But I assume that you already know that and are thinking with that. And so when you get to that point, it's like too much detail just gets in the way. Yeah, exactly. Like Alex said, it has to be consistent. That's the golden rule for all magic. Except, I mean, yeah. Tolkien's magic isn't super consistent, but it's also not a driving force of the plot. It's just sort of a thing that's there, you know. Put it this way. The Force was amazing until they tried to explain how it works. In Star Wars, the Force was just the Force. It was cool. It was pseudo Buddhist, pseudo Eastern religion, pseudo other Eastern religion magic. And then they tried to explain it and it was so stupid. It was so stupid. It was just dumb. So beware the midichlorians. They are not your friend, and they will not make your story better. I understand why people don't like Tolkien's magic, but yeah, you have to understand that it also plays into Tolkien's themes and Tolkien's view of the world and the central thrust of Tolkien's story, which is ordinary people doing extraordinary things in extraordinary circumstances. Frodo is not a wizard and he's not a warrior, but he exists in a world of wizards and warriors, people who are far more powerful than he will ever even understand, much less be. And when that's the case, having magic in your world that is essentially random and unpredictable and unknowable fits that very well. Because it's like he will never understand. None of the hobbits will ever understand magic. They'll never even begin to grasp how it works. But they do their best anyway. They just sort of pick up and soldier on. And interestingly, unless I'm forgetting an instance, magic is never used to save the hobbits. I don't think. Gandalf uses magic against the Witch King of Angmar, but that's not when the Witch King is threatening Mary. He sort of uses magic against the Balrog. Kind of. But, like, it's complicated because, one, in the movie, like, they'd already escaped. Like, this has been talked about to death, but, like, if Gandalf had just kept running on the bridge, they would have gotten out and would have been totally fine. Um, Now, of course, he actually like had to defeat the Balrog because he didn't want it running around loose in Middle Earth. But that's not, that's whatever. And then in the books, it's very different. Like that scene is quite different. The magic light bulb thing. I guess you're right. Like a magical item that they're given. Sort of. But really it's Sam running up and stabbing the fucking, stabbing Shelob in the baby maker. Anyway, point is that the way Tolkien uses magic is very thematically appropriate for his work. And then you got like Rowling's magic system, and Rowling's magic system is best summed up in the single sentence: everything we do with technology, they do with magic. It's like, but how does it work? Well, just sort of does, Yeah, it's somewhat magic. It's like all of Tolkien's magic, where it's just sort of like magic is a bit of a passive thing more than incantations and whatnot. Yep. Yeah, honestly, it's complicated, and it's more complicated because I hadn't fully thought that through myself, Mythor. So like back when I originally came up with the story and whatnot. But the simplest answer is that you could do an arranged marriage that was still basically sexless. Um, where somebody sort of like convinced themselves like, hey, you know, like we'll get married and then like maybe eventually she'll come to love me, blah 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 blah. And so that would be the sort of thing um that they'd be looking for in that scenario, where they don't really care what happens after she sort of gets handed over. um but arranging a marriage regardless. All right, later, Green. hell? No. No way. No. That sucks. All right, well, I'm going to go have lunch, and then I will probably come back and stream sometime in the afternoon. Fuck, man. Always been one of my favorite bands. God, K-Rock must be just... Ugh. Ay, ay, ay. Well, anyway. I'm going to go. I'll probably stream a little bit later in the afternoon. But I gotta go eat. Thanks so much for coming and hanging out, everybody. Catch you all later. Bye.